Welcome to Unload the Bases podcast from PSP. My name is Derek Gordon. I'm your host today. I'm joined by Jay Long, pitcher at Southeastern University in Louisiana, and Dalton Mall, Bradley University. This will be our unloaded, unfiltered, uncensored thoughts about the state of baseball and the things that are happening inside of it. Thanks for joining me, man.
Of course.
So to begin, this is a hot topic. I've talked about it a lot with, I know you two especially, and some of our big leaguers that we have that we work with and some of our minor leaguers about illegal substances on the ball, sticky substances, spider tack, pine tar, Kramer's firm grip, rosin and sunscreen, which I don't understand how that's roped into this situation, but all those things. We'll give our opinions, I'll talk about my personal experiences with it. I've used everything under the sun to put on the baseball. You know what it reminds me of? I remind myself of the guy in Major League when he starts reaching into like the different zones. He's like, got this. If the umpire's watching me, I put a little jalapeno in my nose and put it on the ball. Remember that scene?
Yeah.
But no, that's what we're going to talk about. I'll let you guys kind of go first. What's your theories on everything that's going on?
Artist Dalton. I just think I've always been a guy where everything should be fair among all individuals. So like, I just thought like MLB knew last year that everybody had been cheating, which everyone had been using foreign substance for years on end, however you go back and look at however long. And they knew this, and the MLB just sat there and kind of all of a sudden they're like, okay, 10-game suspensions for anybody gets caught. Well, my only problem with that is look at what happened to Tyler Glass now. He tears his UCL because he has to start gripping the ball harder. So I felt like they poorly handled the idea that like they knew it was going on, they let it slide, and then it was like they just completely cut everybody off and made it a safety hazard. If they want to get rid of it, have more home runs, sell more to the fans, the younger fans that they're trying to push. I just felt like it would have been smart, like after the season, to say, hey, we're cracking down on this coming next season. If you need to get prepared for it, please do. If you don't use it, great. But if you do, please stop because it's coming.
Well, I remember talking to one of my friends that's in the big leagues now, and he was telling me that exact same situation. He's like, he uses it. I won't name his name, but he still uses a little bit of substance. The umpires do not look.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me this offseason. He's like, yeah, I handed him my glove. He looked at it for about like a half a second and then just gave it back to me. He's like, you playing golf today? He's like, yep. He's like, all right, we'll shoot him straight. And it's like, what are we even doing? I think you're right on the aspect of, the changing of it was at the absolute wrong time to do it. Like if you're going to make a change like that, do it either before the season starts or at the end.
Yeah, you got to give some guys some warning, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, you had Trevor Bauer that was extremely outspoken about the entire situation. And I don't know how your feelings are on Bauer are. I think he speaks out against MLB. It's going to come back and bite him in the butt, like hard. Like real hard. And I think it already has.
Right. Well, and I think too, he was the one that kind of brought to light the whole issue and kind of fast tracked these suspensions and everything too. I feel like nothing would have been done if like someone like him or some of the other prominent figures coming out against it wouldn't have said anything. But I think I agree with Jay. Like, I mean, a good amount of people I know in baseball are using sticky stuff, and it's not just at the major league level. And there's definitely a very positive influence on not just like control, but like spin and like making pitches better.
I mean,
but I think I think there should be like a universal substance. Like if everyone's using it already, just instead of like completely changing everyone's mechanics and everything to throw a baseball differently, like you have to give something to everyone to use that's equal and has the same equal effect on everyone.
Right. I mean, I used sticky substance. I used everything.
Yeah, and I think going back to Bauer, like Bauer was the one speaking out saying, "Hey, these guys are cheating," and he comes out and used it for one inning to try and prove a point a
Mhm.
couple seasons ago, and his numbers went through the roof, all that stuff. Which, like I said, I think it should be even on all platforms. If some guys are using it and some guys aren't, in my head, that's not fair. So either like Dalton said, like there could be a universal substance, or like the Major League Baseball could be rubbed down differently because a lot of the baseballs are slick just from
Mhm.
personal experience, and so I think like you could do a lot of favors by making the ball either less slick or making a universal substance, and then at the same time hitters couldn't complain like, oh, they're using sticky substance, and then they also couldn't complain that they're getting hit in the ribs because the ball's slick. So I
Right.
think you could make the best of both worlds out of that.
I mean, when you get sweaty, when you get sweaty, those rubbed up baseballs with that mud, they turn into ice cubes. Like they're slippery to hold on to, like terribly.
I struggled with that bad this year down in Louisiana. I had
Yeah,
two
because humidity's crazy.
yeah, 2 or 3 outings in a row. There were a couple innings where like I'd throw 8 or 10 pitches, start sweating bad, and my hand, like the ball would just slip out. I had to start taking like a little towel with me and just wipe
Hmm.
my hand off, which helped. But like we said, like there's little control of that at this day and age.
I mean, you sacrifice you sacrifice velocity to control the ball more, and I feel like that's what helped with with the sticky substance is you could you could throw the ball as hard as you could and you would still have somewhat control of it,
Mhm.
even just like a little bit. And that's part of the reason why I used it. I mean, yeah, all my numbers went up. My slider became like 4 or 5 miles an hour harder than it was before. So the advantage went to me a little bit more. But I would talk to guys on my team, and they're like, "You use sticky substance?" I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I was the guy on the team that used it.
Mhm.
Other guys on the team were like trying it or whatever, and I spent an entire off season working my pitches with. They don't make it anymore, but it's called Kramer's Firm Grip. It came in a giant tub about this big. It was clear, so you couldn't see it. It was awesome. And I would put it on the thumb of my glove right here, and in between every 2 or 3 pitches, I would just get a little bit on my fingers, and I had crazy grip on my fingertips.
Yeah.
And when I talk to guys on my team about it, the hitters are like, "Well, honestly, as hard as you guys throw now, I'd rather you have more control of your pitches than hit me in the head and possibly blind me, hurt me, and I'm out for the season or what have you."
Yeah, that's a scary thing. Like people throwing at people's heads nowadays and stuff. Like people throw too hard nowadays for like, in my opinion, for revenge to be at somebody's head.
Yeah,
So
I agree with
yeah,
that.
Like
Dalton,
Did you guys see the? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Derek.
no, Dalton, you're the analytics guy for us. Like you're super in the analytics. Do you know what it change spin rate wise, like the average?
Well, I know Bauer has said on Twitter that some of like especially on like breaking balls, but even fastballs, like they're seeing like 200, 300 RPM increases, which is when you're talking about like guys who are already elite of the elite, like and like an average spin rate is like 2,200. So you're increasing that by a good 10% at
Hmm.
least. Like 10% when you're like the top 1% of the 1% is a lot. And
yeah,
so you're almost at a disadvantage. Like you're already at a disadvantage when you don't use it. I was also going to say, did you guys see
I'm
they're
young.
putting in dehumidifiers at every stadium
They
now?
what?
They're putting in like dehumidifier or like humidifiers slash dehumidifiers in every stadium to keep the ball at a certain humidity for every stadium.
Really?
Yeah,
that's
A universal ball?
work.
yeah.
That would make sense. Are they going to have a measuring cup for the mud that you put on the ball?
I mean, they might need to, like if they're gonna regulate the ball this much, like you might as well go the whole 9 yards, right?
Exactly.
I mean, what else can they do to the ball? They've made it spun tighter, like they've wound the ball tighter so that it spins faster. So now spin rates are going up again.
Mhm.
Um, the ball flies further. now. I mean, me and Ian Kennedy did a test on. Do you guys remember that when me and him did a test on 2 different baseballs? And we
Yep.
dropped in the same, and the new one like bounced like 5 inches higher.
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy.
the weirdest thing. It's just tighter. I don't know. It's so that when the hitter makes contact, it'll fly harder, I guess.
Yeah, well, the MLB is like outspoken and like admitted to changing the ball.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
to me is like, if you're going to do that, because the MLB is struggling for viewership, and they're doing, in my opinion, they're reaching for things that don't matter, like the pitch clock. Well, all the pitch clock has added is more dumb pickoff moves to me. They've added like just like all these extra things, and they said that they changed the ball, which to me is fine if you're going to do it, but they didn't tell anybody.
They weren't open about it.
So that's been my whole thing about all of that, is like, if you're going to change the way the game's played, or details about the game to these guys that are playing it, making millions of dollars, they need to be in on that. And so, like, going back to the foreign substance thing, like, if all of these pitchers are using foreign substance, and then all of a sudden you drop the hammer on them, like, hey, no more. Like, you're not only putting guys at risk, but you're completely changing the way a season, like, that you change the outcome of a season of how it started.
Right.
So yeah, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily fair. But at the same time, if everybody's doing it, I feel like you'd feel at a disadvantage in the big leagues if in case everybody's doing it, you're sitting there going, shoot, I'm trying to make millions of dollars. All my teammates have an advantage that I'm not taking advantage of. So yeah, I do think like cracking down on it is not a bad thing. It's just the timing and the way they handled it is just so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's comparable to like the steroid era with like Bonds and like McGuire? Do you think it's like a similar thing, or do you think it's not as like serious as that?
At the end of the day, you still got to hit the ball. I mean, you still have to
Right.
make contact with the right ball at the right point. You're just hitting the ball harder, with steroids. Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, those guys still had to make contact, but like the sticky substance, you're not changing any physical attribute that you have. You're just adding a little bit more grip. And maybe
Right.
add grip pressure, like maybe that would change. But I think the steroid era and this era, they're similar, but polar opposites, because you have the steroids that were like crazy home run numbers, and then you have now that's like velocity numbers are through the roof.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah, sort of, I guess.
Dalton, I think you're onto the idea of like you're making the best of the best just that much better.
Right.
Like
Oh,
it's already hard enough to hit in Major League Baseball, and then you have guys using loads of spider tack, making them way better. Whereas it's already hard enough to pitch in the big leagues, and then you have guys taking steroids, making it even harder. Like
Right.
that makes it like the funnel gets smaller every level you go to, and so you add that onto it. Like, man, but I think both sides, like, you're taking the best of the best and making them that much better and that much harder to compete against.
I mean, I know. Yeah, I mean it. It changed my career a little bit,
Mhm.
because I was able to throw a little bit harder and have more control. So, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, if you were to tell me that I could use just this little substance on my fingertips, it's not gonna kill me. There's no side effects to my body with doing it. Would it get me signed over someone else? Absolutely, I would do it.
Yeah.
And that comes down to the steroid thing with a lot of people. I mean, none of us, not one of us, has seen a contract of, $20 million a year for the next 10 years.
Look at what
With
happened to Garrett
faith,
Cole.
huh?
Garrett Cole apparently started using it, and all of a sudden he signs a, what was that, 10-year, $324 million. Like he set up generational wealth
Mm-hmm.
Right.
family by becoming the most elite pitcher in the big leagues. And I'm not saying that any sticky stuff makes you like just the most elite pitcher ever, which I think is so unfair when somebody's like to say, oh, well, he's using substance, so that's the only reason he's good. Like the amount of work that a guy like that has put in, like, I just think like he created generational wealth. You can knock it all you want, or you could say whatever you want about he's cheating, X, blah, blah, blah. You can't
You
knock
should
a guy for
still, when that happens, tell the person like, oh, grab a bat, just step in there. He won't use any, but you can step in there, see how it swings.
Yeah. Like,
I always love that was always my favorite thing when I was playing. You know what? Throw strikes. Thank you.
thank
God,
you, coach.
if I had that knowledge. Thank you.
If I would have known that 10 minutes ago.
I'm throwing balls on purpose. So I didn't get yelled at that much when I started using the tack because I could put the ball wherever I wanted to it. You know, high velocity. That's funny. But I
I'm
think
curious, Derek, have you ever, oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead. You're good.
Have you ever found any ways of like naturally increasing someone's spin rate? I mean, you worked
So
with a lot of guys.
sweat and rosin, I've noticed will become, you know, a universal substance because you know they're not going to take rosin away, and sweat is something that a person just has on them. So,
Technically
you know,
illegal.
so do you remember the video that Bauer posted to Twitter about how he
Put his
like
hand like this and the ball stuck.
the ball was stuck to his hand like this and it wouldn't
Mhm.
fall. He's like just sweat and rosin. You know, that's a I mean he overloaded it obviously. Like if you use just a little bit of sweat and a little bit of rosin, it's not going to stick like that. It gives you just a little bit extra grip. But that's, you know, that's what it has to come to. You know, if you're struggling like you, Jay, you know, if your hand is constantly sweating in Louisiana, and then you go and grab the rosin bag to dry your hand off, and it makes it a little bit more sticky. I mean, that's
See, I
totally
don't
legal
like the
substances
rosin
just put
bag.
together.
I don't know what it is about the rosin bag, but like when I was struggling with that sweat problem, I would go grab the rosin bag and try, and it felt like I had like sand on my hand. And when I started sweating bad, that was it was really tough to pitch. I'll just be honest.
Yeah, you would send me videos. I remember like seeing videos on the ball. It looks like it's just slipping out of your hand.
Yeah, everything was missing high.
Hmm. To your point, Dalton, I think that the rosin is going to be, you know, that's a universal substance already. Um, I don't, I don't see the problem with sunscreen in rosin. Yeah, is it make it a little bit extra sticky? But it's two legal substances. You know,
That's crazy.
simply that's why. Like, if you really watch close, most people don't know to look at this, but if you really watch close, you'll see pitchers. They'll take their glove off and you know, they rub their forearms and then they wipe the ball. Well, that's sunscreen and rosin on their forearms. It's not
Right.
just they're not just pulling off skin and like putting it on the baseball. Like this will work. You know, that's sunscreen and rosin most of the time.
Yeah, see, that's something to me where it's like if that's if that's like the thing where it's like, okay, if you're using sunscreen and rosin, that's the only substance that's like allowed. And then if you get caught using whatever else, like then it's completely fair. Like, yeah, you get thrown out of the game.
Right.
Never happens. But I do think like Don, you have a great point there where it just make it level along the playing field if everybody is pushing for it, which I don't know. Like just find something out there that's not ridiculous increase in spin, and just level the playing field for everybody so that you don't have guys using tack or pine tar or excess versus one guy's using nothing.
Right. But that comes back to the point of like, do hitters still be able to use pine tar?
Yeah. See,
Technically, they're increasing their grip with that.
the only difference there, Derek, is like that's not affecting the outcome of the ball.
How do we know?
No, I'm saying like pine tar on just like their gloves.
Right, but to hold on the bat more, right? So like if they can hold on to the bat better, they can swing harder, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard that argument, but that's very true.
That is
Like you're not as worried about. It's like the same thing with the ball. You're not as worried about letting go of the bat at the end of your swing. I mean, that's kind of the essence of the control side of using sticky stuff with throwing.
that is a weird argument. I guess I never thought of it like that.
I
It's
had
just
this
been done for so long.
I had this thought yeah, exactly. I think it's gonna come up eventually. Um, but like if I want to slow down swing speeds and make it, you know, normal, then take away pine tar, take away because they use rosin too. I don't know if you know this, but most hitters use rosin on their bats. They use pine tar and rosin, which makes it like Velcro to their hands, and you'll hear them like take their gloves off and be like,
Yeah. Well, that's what these like grip substances were originally made for, like the Pelican grip dip and stuff like that were made for batters.
yep.
So that's
I
crazy.
guess we can kind of blame them, right?
I don't know about you, Dalton, but like I don't see like that. We don't see that kind of stuff in college because I don't know. I've never seen somebody like take Pelican grip and put it on their gloves and then.
I played with a hitter that I played with a hitter. Obviously, I'm not gonna say his name. I think he's still playing. Have to look. But he used to take his bats and he used to bone rub them by rubbing his bat on the sink, like and it would like almost flatten one side. And then he would put pine tar and rosin on it and just keep flattening and just harden his bat like crazy.
So why
Huh.
why is
Did it work?
Yeah, did he put rosin on like the barrel?
I never swung it. Man, I threw. He swung. I threw. I didn't mess around with that.
What was he? Was he a good hitter?
Yeah, he's a good hitter.
Okay.
He would hit balls and it just sounded like
Different.
I didn't know why when he would hit the ball, it would sound weird. Like he would hit it and sound like a cannon.
Get it?
I'm like, what is going on here? So we started like one day I walk in, it's like right after BP, right before we're about to go outside, I walk in there and he's like rubbing his bat on the sink. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm bone rubbing my bat. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, check this out. And then like the spray that they use for like ankles before they wrap your ankles. So he sprayed that in there. And then he took his pine tar stick and rubbed that on it. And then he took rosin and dabbed it on it and just took his batting gloves and squeezed it all the way down.
That's crazy.
It was the craziest
That's
thing I've ever seen. And I mean, do they take away pine tar? That's what I'm saying. If you take away pine tar completely, do the hitters have a negative side effect to that too? Because now they can't swing as hard. So like,
Right. Well, that defeats, I think, the point of taking the sticky stuff away too. To a point was we need, like, they want the game to have more offense, and I feel like that just totally counteracts their like whole mission right now.
Yeah.
But maybe like you take pine tar away and you move the mound back 5 feet and see what happens.
When you break it down, like all the things the MLB does, like it really is just a business. And I get it. Like, yeah, they're money hungry. It just sucks that like when you do stuff like that, like you affect players' careers because you're a billionaire wanting to be a trillionaire.
people forget these are billionaires. Like these are different people. Like they don't live on the same planet as the rest of us.
Right.
The rest of us that are like, oh man, I don't know if I can go golfing this week because I had Chipotle 3 times last week. Like,
I mean, Derek, you lived in your
you
car.
guys are like, oh, I bought 6 Chipotles. I guess I'll buy a 7th, but not an 8th. Like, I don't know if I want an 8th one.
Derek, you lived in your car for a little while there. Like, literally, these guys are like, if we change the baseball, I'll make another $600 million this year. Think about how that'll change my life.
Yeah.
Sitting over here making chicken on top of my car. Love it. Oh yeah, totally. Did you guys see with the Cardinals, they've re-signed Albert Pujols for a 1-year deal, but in July, Yachty turns 40, and so they'll have Albert Pujols, which is 42. They'll have Adam Wainwright, he's 40 now, and he'll be 41, and then Yachty will be 40 in July. They just need to start wheeling wheelchairs out to first home, the pitcher's mound.
It's the nursing home team.
Pujols plans to retire this year, right? He's announced that.
Who?
Pujols plans to retire this year, doesn't he?
I haven't seen.
Probably.
I think I saw that he was planning to retire.
I feel like that's the whole point of that would be the whole point of doing that is taking his retirement tour to where he started.
Have you guys heard the like theory that Pujols is like 4 years older than he actually like says on his?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think there's some truth to it. I wouldn't say that it's true, but it sounds like it could be a thing. It could be possible.
I mean, that guy. I mean, I've played with guys. Like you figure out things when you play with these people and you look at their IDs, like their real IDs, and they're actually 4 years older than what they actually say they are.
Right.
It happens more than you'd think. Me and a couple of my buddies, we played with this guy. I don't think he plays anymore. His name was Julio, and he was from the Dominican Republic. And on his Facebook, he was 18. Okay, we'll put some quotes there, 18. And on his Facebook, we went and searched him on Facebook and found him, and his profile picture, like his birthday was different A than it was on his baseball profile. And then in his profile picture, he was going like this, as if like I'm 21. And there was like a whole bunch of party behind him, and I'm like,
That's like the
secret.
that's the bench warmer scene out in the woods.
I am 12.
12.
I am 12. He's got documentation.
Well, we confronted him about it. We went up to him and said it. We were like, hey, man. We showed him the photo. We're like, hey, 21? And he's like, no say. I'm like, he just turned around and walked away. Like, we were like, all right, well,
Fair enough.
what are we going to do? But no, it does happen. Like, it really does happen. It's because there is no paperwork for those guys coming over.
Right. And they'll do anything to make it too.
I mean, what do they go back to?
Right.
Nothing.
Going back to the Pujols thing, like like I said, like it's a business, and so the Cardinals are probably not in contention to win it. And so in the Cardinals owner's mind, it's like, hey, we signed Pujols, we're probably getting X amount of extra tickets sold per day. So, I mean, yeah. But
That's correct. It's gonna boost their sales for sure.
Yeah.
Jersey sales are gonna be astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
He might be the you know how the MLB always tweets out or puts on their Instagram about like best jersey sales of 2020 or 2021 or whatever. Pujols is gonna be near the top again.
He will be.
Yeah. It's gonna be Correa, because he went to the Twins. And then it'll be Pujols. Baez is now with the Tigers, right? So Baez will go up just because it's Javier Baez. But well, seems like we're about out of time, man. So join us next time for Unload the Bases podcast with Jay Long, myself, and Dalton Mall to hear our unfiltered, uncensored content. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Unload the Bases podcast. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and follow us on Instagram, PSP3 Pitching, for all the latest content involving baseball from my point of view, as long as Jay Long and Dalton Mall. Peace.